Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Brown. I am an urban fantasy author, and I'm here to talk about news articles that I have found within the last week that I wanted to share with the writing community in general. Today's date, if you are back watching this, is May 12, 2019. And I actually want to talk a little bit about social media and some of the changes that are going on with Instagram. So, as you can tell from the article that I have right here, Instagram is doing some changes to itself again. It feels like every month they're having a new change. But the change that they're having that is kind of rolling out in phases right now has to do with them removing likes. Now, the way that this is working, according to all the research that I've found, is that the ability to see how many likes a post is getting is going away. You as the poster will be able to see how many likes your photo got, but people who are looking at it that did not post it will not be able to see how many likes it got, which means that the original algorithm, when you were doing searches for pictures and that they were being seen by likes and engagement, that's going to change. In fact, you're going to probably get discovered more by engagement. Now, if you followed me and listen to any of the marketing videos that I've talked about in regards to authors self-promoting themselves, I've always been a big advocate for engagement and making connections with people, mostly because you can have 1,000 people that follow you on Amazon, or not Amazon, on Instagram, but that doesn't mean that those 1,000 people are actually going to purchase your book. There's no guaranteed sales there. However, if you do have meaningful connections with people and you do have conversations with them, they are more likely to purchase your book than not, and they are also more likely to tell their friends about the book, and that also will generate sales as well. Word of mouth is usually a big thing when it comes to book sales, and you do want to generate positive engagements with other people because it just makes them like you more. But going back to Instagram and what's happening here, the whole reason that they are taking down the like feature or the ability for people to publicly see the likes is that they are trying to lessen the competitiveness and the anxiety that is associated with the like culture. Now, if you know anything about society and how it's been affected by social media in general, there's a lot of studies that talk about how people are feeling isolated, and there's a lot of anxiety because a lot of them are measuring their self-worth via the attention that they get on their various media platforms, and a lot of this, the impression that I really got from this is that this is kind of targeted towards younger people right now, because you do have teens that are, kind of like trying to build up their self-esteem and getting to know each other more, and they will, very easily feel very bad if, they posted something they put a lot of time into and of course it doesn't get any likes. That happens a lot, but when you're at that age, that can be a bit more detrimental, especially when the brain is trying to associate and reach out to more peers, and they'll be associating that lack of likes with, rejection and just so on and so forth. So, on one hand, I think that this is really good. On another hand, it's when you close one door, another one will open, and so I'm sure that Instagram will be exploited in some other way in order to get attention, and that secret will come out at some point. Now, while I was researching this, I did find another article, and I thought it was really interesting. So, again, this is another article by Washington Post, and this article actually goes in to talk about how basically a lot of the founders for Instagram are gone. For those of you that don't know, Instagram is actually owned by Facebook, and they were bought out back in 2012. And originally when Instagram came out, they were kind of like an indie art group thing that was going on, and then it got purchased by Facebook, and then Facebook's growth team got involved, and they made some changes in regards to the login and how to get noticed and so on and so forth, and it just kind of became like I don't want to say it became like a Facebook, Snapchat clone, but it definitely has a lot of those similar features that are in there. So that's interesting to me, just to see that people who were originally part of the group have departed. So, and more of them are going. So it was a very interesting article that covered the history here of Instagram and about how people are just kind of looking for the next thing that's meaningful for them when it comes to social media. So. Now, this next article was actually sent to me by a friend. I'd already read it, and it doesn't tell anything that I didn't tell you guys last week in regards to the situation with Blood Air. I will do a quick recap if this is the first time that you're seeing the video. The author of Blood Air, her book got into the hands of some advanced readers, and the book had depictions of slavery in it, and those individuals went and took that material and shared it with a bunch of individuals in the YA community who got very upset, and then they got more people upset, and then the next thing you know, there was a giant Twitter mob basically bullying this poor Asian immigrant author for having slavery in her book, and and then they went and they tanked the reviews in Goodreads. Now, that's the situation in general. The book was taken down, it's coming back out. So, Now, the reason I wanted to point out this article is because this is not the only article that I've read in regards to this situation. In fact, I'm happy to say that I have read multiple articles on this, because it means what's happening is that the YA community is now becoming under spotlight because of the way that they conduct themselves. And I think that's good, just because it does need to be looked at, it does need to be reevaluated. But one thing I do want to point out that is actually, it's kind of sad, and I kind of don't want to mention it, but I'm going to. When people review literature, they have a couple places where they can do it. If you bought the book on Amazon, you can buy it, you can go review it on Amazon. If you borrowed it from a friend, or you went to the library, or wherever, you can usually review it on Goodreads, right? Or you can talk about it on your personal site. What's been going on in regards, and this isn't the only situation where people are reviewing a product that they haven't read or isn't out yet. Zenith is a book that would be people just went and reviewed it, never read it, and they bombed the review, or they fought the reviews. And basically what I'm trying to talk about in regards to this is that people are abusing the way that Goodreads works, because they don't like something. With Amazon, you have to verify that you purchased the book in order to review it. You don't really have to do that on Goodreads, which, as I mentioned earlier, is good if you are borrowing or you're lending it from a library. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that books are expensive, and not everybody wants to fill up thousands of shelves worth of books either. It's a space issue too. So it's a kind of concerning for me as an author and a reader when I see that Goodreads is getting abused in this fashion, because it's going to lessen the credibility that Goodreads is going to have when it comes to being able to see what people think about a book. People who haven't read it are going in and they're commenting on it, and I think that's bad form in general. But if you are, I don't know how Goodreads will respond to this, if they're going to respond at all, but if you have a platform that people like to go to communicate about books, but you are not leaving accredited, or you didn't read it and you're just joining the bandwagon to yell about something, it's going to be interesting going forward. And I really don't want to see Goodreads and the community on Goodreads affected just because people are just abusing the way that the system works. So that's talking about how to fix Goodreads. I just think it's something that definitely needs to be considered. Let's see. Oh, another thing that is going on, this is going to affect, so Shopify and Mailchimp, if you have not heard, are going separate ways. And the way that this used to work is that if you had a newsletter and you were doing it with Mailchimp, and you happen to sell things at Shopify, we'd kind of link those two things and make, basically selling your product through your newsletter a lot easier. And this is not happening anymore. Because there was an issue where it came to data. So obviously there was some data that was being collected that was not being shared. When it was asked for, it was not given, and now they've decided to go their separate ways. If you would like to dig more into that, you can definitely go check it out. But basically, if you used to use Shopify, you won't be able to use Shopify with Mailchimp anymore, so very sorry. The last thing that I do want to talk about, and again, this isn't new news. Obviously, this one article I talked about was from March 25th, but this other one has to actually do with the Nora Roberts versus the Brazilian author. And I am very happy to say that the courts have favored in Nora's case, and that basically they're taking down the books, they're stopping the sales, and they're stopping the royalties. So this is a really good first step that I think is going forward, and I'm really excited to keep seeing how this progresses, because obviously none of us were happy with the situation with the copy-paste crisis, and I'm happy that there is definitely some justice happening right now, like really happy, just so happy. Anyway, so I gave you guys a lot of information in regards to Instagram, what's happening with the YA, how it could affect Goodreads. I talked about Mailchimp and Shopify, and then of course I kind of gave a mini update in regards to what's going on with Nora Roberts and the plagiarist. I'm very curious about what your thoughts on all these topics are. If you've heard something different, please feel free to share and leave a comment down below, so that way we can have like a discussion. I do read everything that you guys, basically leave down below, and I typically like to comment and talk back and forth with you. So anyway, so that is this week's news, and I look forward to giving you guys more news next week. So, later. Record button is